We are live-ish. It's Martin Pierro's Cosmic Times. I'm just double checking our privacy settings to be sure people can see us, and we're getting this set up. I'm going to have Zach join in just a second. So we got at least one person's watching, so I guess that means that we're visible to the world. So as I said before, I'm Martin Pierro, and we are going to dump in. We're going to dump in Zach in just a second. Let's see. I'm trying to. There's Zach. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
All right. So you're going to be doing some sketch covers, or at least a sketch cover if we have time for one today. Which one are you doing there? I know there was two on deck. Which one are you doing today?
I think we had one that was just any character from the book, so I was going to use it as an opportunity to finish out one of the thumbnails I had for a cover. So.
Nice. Oh, another. You mean like a backup cover that we didn't use, or?
Yeah, we did some thumbnails originally that didn't get used, and so I figured one of those would make a cool picture for this.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, and the book is The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric. I see you got one hanging behind you there, and I got mine stuck here. There it is. The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric. We kickstarted that. Last month? It's been about 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks since it wrapped up. And of course, we're gearing up for our next Kickstarter as we speak. And actually, that's something during the during this live stream. People call them shows. I think Oprah Winfrey has a show. This is what I call a live stream. We got the Phil Hester cover. I don't know if did they send it to you or no?
I haven't seen it. No.
Awesome. So you'll see it for the first time here. This will be fun. Okay. Very good. We have it inked, so we need to get it colored. So we'll send that off to Victor following this the stream here. Let me just be sure we're on YouTube real quick, and then we'll get going on some stuff here. Just gotta technology. And by the way, you have to forgive. I got this blank wall behind me. I just redid my whole office, and I haven't rehung the artwork yet. So all my artwork's that way because my desk used to be here and blocked off this whole area. So it's kind of this.
I noticed the regular Kickstarter kind of setup in the background. It's not there.
Yeah, it's gone. I had to redo the whole office. I wanted to get a bigger desk that gave me more room to work around. So let me just double check where your channel to give me more. I needed more flat space. I had a corner desk, and it was just too tight for what we were doing, especially when I'm trying to box up those Kickstarters. Yeah. The wife doesn't like it when I take over the kitchen or the dining room table. So yeah, that's a thing. So anyways, the book Zach's going to be doing the sketch cover for is The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric, the story of cowboys and dinosaurs. If that isn't the pitch of the lifetime, I don't know what is. I think I told Zach that if this book isn't popular, people don't like it, I don't understand comics, because this is, to me, what comics are kind of what they're for. I mean, outside of superheroes, it's just pure imagination, straight up. Things I guess nowadays with technology, you could do it in the movies, but it would definitely be a fun watch. So you want to flip down and show us what you're working on for a second, and then we'll come back up? Those blank sketch covers. Oh, it's hard to make out. What do we got?
So it was going to be, I'm going to have a guy here reaching for his gun, which is going to be stuck in the mouth of a T-Rex. Oh. Like riding on the back.
I like that.
The thumbnail I had was probably a little bit more visible. So
I like that a lot, actually. We might yet still use that for issue 3. That's cool. We do the blank sketch covers as part of the Kickstarters. People seem to like them. I think they're super cool. They're actually, believe it or not, it's funny. We always say, oh, you got to get this foil variant. It's only limited to 100 or 200, and you have to get this, you have to get that, because they're limited. But it's actually the sketch covers, believe it or not, are probably the most limited things we print. I think we normally print either 25 or 50, and that's it with each Kickstarter as the blue line. If I have to go back and print more, I'll do them as a full color logo. But I thought if we did these kind of blue, where we turn the graphics and everything kind of this blue line look, like the comic pages look, it would it kind of gives it that kind of, this is your first chance to get a sketch cover. We'll be doing that again with our next Kickstarter, and we'll chat about that in just a second. Kickstarter seems to be the future of the comic business, at least for the immediate future that I can see. It's definitely the first phase in any product cycle. I notice a lot of smaller publishers like Scout Comics. They pretty much exclusively publish Kickstarter comics. It seems so it's kind of the trend. It's a way for people to get the comics first before the stores, before the conventions and everything. And it also enables them to get it on the ground floor and support something from the beginning. So
when I think most of the other comic companies have a big company behind them that's kind of like, most are connected to a giant studio for movies that they're kind of using as an idea machine for IP and that kind of thing. And so there's somebody to kind of fund all that. Whereas things that are purely comics kind of have to, I think Kickstarter is kind of their way around that, I guess.
I agree. I mean, I don't know anybody in the quote unquote indie market that has that Disney or I guess now Discovery Channel money floating around to hire the talent and print the books and hope they sell well in the direct market. So,
right.
Yeah. So that's where we are. And I know that's where a lot of creators at our level are. They're it's just kind of the way the industry's evolved to become more Kickstarter, more direct to consumer centric. By the way, I should say, if anybody has any comments or questions, I think this is set up so if you're on YouTube or Facebook, your comments will still flow through us. So please please feel free to comment or question as Zach and I go through this process. Wow, you're hammering that out pretty fast, man. Wow. Okay. I just looked up and saw your progress. Okay. You're doing great. This was one of two. The other Kickstarter or the other sketch cover was, I believe it was a guy who wanted his son riding a dinosaur.
Yeah. The likenesses are a little harder for me to get right this quickly, I suppose.
Okay. Sorry about that. It was his request. And that's the thing with these sketch covers. When you back a Kickstarter or even at a convention, if the artist can do it, they'll do it. We make your request and they'll draw whatever you want for the most part on the sketch cover. I know, Zach, we talked last time about Denver Comic Con, and we were out there in 2011, maybe 2012, and you were cranking out the sketch covers that one year. It was we said Big Barda and Zatanna and all, and I think it was Batwoman before Batwoman was cool, actually. Back when she was just a New 52 Batwoman. Or not New 52, it was Countdown. That was still during the Countdown days before DC rebooted 3 times, I think, since that show.
Yeah, that was kind of surreal. That felt like the big one, and then it's kind of kept doing it every couple years.
Yeah. What do you think about all those? Do you even keep up with modern comics that much anymore?
I was going to say that I'm probably the person that they market the nostalgia to, because I think the most exciting thing for me that's coming is the Batman 89 and the
Superman 78.
Yep.
I added, those are the first DC books in a long time that I've added to my pull list.
So those are the weird things, but I would normally like to support, something new and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like at a certain age, you kind of start to see, how the sausage is made as far as them kind of rebooting it and redoing it. And it kind of takes away the impact of anything because, in a few years, it's all going to be meaningless anyways.
Unfortunately, that is true. Yeah, see, now that was a thing, not to get too into it, but when we were back in the day, when we were younger, it did seem there was a definite connection through from the 1960s, at least, to the 80s or not even 90s, where we were reading comics, that it was definitely the same continuity, the same universe. Even after the Crisis on Infinite Earth, it was still, well, this is the rebooted version of what was left behind. And it just seems that connection to the past is DC's and Marvel are just willing to break that. It's obviously, new readers, new tastes. But for us, it felt like I was reading the same Spider-Man my dad was reading when he was a kid, my grandfather was reading. And that's kind of gone to the wayside. Do you think that's causing kind of a generation gap in the comic collecting and comic reading market?
Yeah, and I think trying to appeal to that split audience between people that want that new thing without the continuity, and the people that want it with the continuity, and them kind of jumping back and forth on numbering, or trying to kind of appease both sides, is you end up being able to alienate both if you don't do it well, and threading that needle is pretty difficult.
Yeah, and it seems they're kind of, the naysayers of the industry and whatnot, but it almost feels as if they are alienating a good chunk of both sets these days.
Well, and they go back and forth about who they're, marketing to. Like I said, I guess I'm in the nostalgia camp of getting stuff from 30 years ago that are movie continuations that we never got.
Yeah.
And, but then on the other end, there's people that want to drop in and not be weighed down by that, or that's not the Batman movie that I know, and so on.
Well, I did notice the cover for that Batman book has Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. The promise was made in the '89 movie we never got, so at least we're getting that in some respect here.
Yeah, I think they got one of the covers was the. No, I can't think of his name, but the guy that did the movie adaptation of the original one, which I had the longest.
Yeah, I have it too.
One of my earlier comic books, and
it's like a little pristine comic. It's extra thick. It's a square bound, yeah.
But it's so labored over. It looks like Al Williams and Star Wars kind of stuff, where it's so photorealistic and detailed and things.
Oh, it definitely looks like Michael Keaton for sure, and the Jack Nicholson Joker. I think it's Jerry Ordway who did the cover for that.
Yeah, and it's weird because some of those things, like they kind of I found out about the Star Wars figure kind of loophole. I don't know if you've heard about that with the two Cantina girls or something like that.
No.
There's like these two sisters in Star Wars.
Yeah, I know that. I know them from the Decipher trading card game is where I know them from, actually.
Yeah. So they started asking, basically saying that because they're not wearing a mask, they would like some money for their likeness being marketed. And Lucasfilm realized that outside of the main cast, they don't really have the rights to any of the individual actors as far as their likenesses go. And so I assume for this Batman comic book, they had to have gotten that, for Billy D. Williams and for everybody, or it was in the original contract that they were able to do that. So I assume that's where a lot of the money probably went as far as this comic book goes. But
licensing fees, yeah.
Yeah, as far as Disney Star Wars figures go, they all now need to be generic and not a specific actor's likeness because of that loophole.
Well, I do notice that whenever they market, at least for the last few years, it's always Darth Vader's face, a Stormtrooper's face, the Mandalorian's mask, or Baby Yoda. Not actual people's faces in their marketing and whatnot.
Yeah, whereas like the pre-Disney Star Wars figures was very specifically this specific actor from that one scene where he got choked or whatever, and now they can't do that.
Interesting. Well, I do wonder then if the contract from '89 even still hold up for the actors from that Batman movie, or if because Michael Keaton's in, I guess, the new Flash movie, if they had him kind of sign away his likeness with that enabled them to do this. It could be the studio trying to give DC a way forward, but I feel like they almost had to wait until that door shut, because I think they were kind of considering doing it like a lot of kind of modern reboots of movies, where you kind of ignore a few of the other films and try and jump back into whatever that sweet spot is for people. So what do you think of the Flash movie? I don't know enough details about it, but that where they're working in kind of all the old continuities into one. It's almost, they're in the movie universe, they're doing what we were just talking about in the comic universe. They're trying to have their cake a little bit and eat it too, where it's new, but yet pressing all those nostalgia buttons.
I mean, the Flash movie thing has been news for a few years, and so I perfectly don't believe that that's actually going to see the light of day, especially after the Snyder stuff. But who knows?
Who knows? I know. And now that Warner Brothers has already changed hands twice in the last 5 years, it's everything to me is in question, especially when it comes to comics. But not with us, because we got something cool coming up. While you're hammering away at that, I guess we should talk about let's talk about Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric I try to do this thing where we put it on Indiegogo, and man, I just don't understand the Indiegogo app or something, because I cannot get traction on Indiegogo at all. We have, let me throw it up on the screen here. Allow. We have The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric up on Indiegogo right now. It's just kind of a duplicate of the Kickstarter. Just pretty much duplicated, even price point and everything. The only thing that's not there are the stretch goals and some of the free add-ons we tossed in the box, because I felt that should be, if you're one of the early backers, that's the stuff for you. This is
otherwise there's no urgency to get on the Kickstarter.
Right. This is for people that may have missed the Kickstarter as a last chance to grab the books, and the books only. And we put through the sketch cover in there just in case somebody wanted one of those. But I just can't. Maybe it's doing the in demand. I don't know. I just can't seem to get traction on it. But if anybody, if you're digging what Zach's doing on the sketch cover, we do have them available through Indiegogo if you want to check it out. It's running right now. I guess I can put the link in the comments. Maybe. Let's see. Copy. Okay. And post. That was not right. Okay, let's try that again. Copy. Okay. There you go. So if anybody wants to check that out, that is, we've only picked up 2 backers on Indiegogo, and the same thing happened when we did Decisions. We didn't even get the funding for it. I just shipped the book because you have to reach a certain. Yeah, here's the thing about Indiegogo. They say that you get the money no matter what. There actually is a threshold. They don't pay out under a certain threshold, and we failed to hit that with Decisions, and it looks like we're going to fail to hit it with this as well. So we'll probably be sending the books out to the people that backed it at our cost. But I feel that if they put the money in, they should at least get the book. Mm-hmm. This will probably be the last time we try an Indiegogo in demand post a Kickstarter campaign, just because I don't see that I'm making it work or it's working for us. It seems to be Kickstarter's our home right now. Maybe I was talking to somebody yesterday, I don't know, I'm lost track of time, about maybe the next Indiegogo we try should just be for a trade or something that's exclusive to Indiegogo, and maybe put all our efforts into that. But for right now, I think it's Kickstarter is where we're going to keep our focus on, and then that takes us over to our new Kickstarter, Takedown. It's what do we say? It's a one-shot comic about a man trying to make a difference against all odds in a hopeless future. It's available. You can check it out right now. You can, and anybody can go hit the notify me on launch button. We're going to be launching this. Well, I wanted to launch it this week, but we're actually not going to launch it probably for another 2 weeks, just to be sure that we get all the promotion in for it. What can you tell us about this book, Zach, about Takedown?
It's got an interesting history as far as Cosmic Times goes, and that it was kind of the other book that I was working on while I was working on projects with Cosmic Times, and then it ended up back at the same spot. Once Cosmic Times kind of reinvented itself to have a like a Kickstarter kind of situation, I felt like it could kind of breathe a life into this book that didn't really get out there as much, but I felt like it's about as tight and kind of sharp as you can make a single issue story with kind of a beginning, middle, end, and still feel
I'm not going to lie,
satisfying.
It does leave me wanting a little more at the end. I'm not going to lie. I did. I would like to see a sequel one of these days.
Well, we tried to kind of have ups and downs and action scenes. It almost goes through like a futuristic procedural kind of storyline.
It's definitely. I think I referred to it the other day. It's it kind of has that Judge Dredd vibe, but on a intergalactic scale as opposed to smaller stories. Don't get me wrong. When I say I would love a sequel, it is a complete story. It has a beginning, middle, and definite end. I think I just like the world so much. I would like to see more set in it. And who knows, maybe we will down the road. But for right now, it is a complete story. The book is 100% complete. I do need to talk to you about that. I don't think I have the lettered pages in my Dropbox. I have the colored pages, but these are the that's the Phil Hester original what's the word I'm looking for? Original doodle for the cover. Yeah, I'll pull up the actual cover in a second. I think I have it here. Banners, not banners. I got to figure this thing out. Okay, so here is the pencils. Ready? For the Phil Hester cover. It's him. It's the main character. He's surrounded by all these aliens, and he's pushing his way through, like he does in the book, racing toward the climax, which I don't want to spoil here. I do have it inked. I got to find that. I should have loaded that. Let's see. Open this up. Have to bear with me 1 second. Oh, that's I have it. I have it inked. I'll put that up on the screen if I can. So do this. Let's take this down.
Oh, you went to town on all the characters grabbing him and holding him.
Yeah, it kind of has a Kirby vibe to it. Let me get it up here. Let's see. Take down inks. There it is. And allow. So that's the inked version. And he actually sent along not a color guide, but just a color kind of breakdown to say this guy should be yellow, this guy should be green. So the way he envisioned it. So we can just hand all that over to the colorist and we'll be good to go. What do you think?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks tight. Like I said, kind of some of these aliens have a definite Kirby vibe to them. So yeah, I dig it. It took a little bit to get it, but it is a Phil Hester cover that will be in the Kickstarter, and we will have the original art in the Kickstarter as well, available for purchase. So we'll have the original art for this cover and the original art for Zach's cover, this is the colored version with some cool effects that you added to it. I really dig that. Actually, I was going through the pages. I don't know if it was you or if it was Victor. There's a lot of cool effects, blur effects and glowing effects that were added to the book that makes it really pop off the page.
Yeah, the glowing thing was his kind of idea. There's kind of like a force power type thing where somebody's able to do this kind of like almost Vader choke type thing and kind of disintegrate other characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that ended up in black and white. It was kind of easy to see that they put their hand out there and then you saw the effect. But in color, you can kind of get this cool glow. And so then we needed to match it to the cover, and we have it reflecting in his visor, and it was really cool to offset those colors against everything going on in the background. So that was pretty cool.
I think the cover, the interior pages pop, but I think this cover really pops, and we're going to be doing a metal version of it. This is the first time our printer does metal covers, where they'll print the cover on a sheet. The actual front cover of the comic will be a sheet of metal, and I thought this would be the first book to try it out with. So we're going to see how that looks. It should look pretty awesome with this, with the cover the way it kind of pops right now. I think it's really going to pop on a shiny sheet of metal. So we'll see how that looks. So yeah, the Kickstarters, we're ready to go on it. Actually, it just want to get that Phil Hester. Wanted to wait till that Phil Hester cover had come in, because I don't like to launch a Kickstarter with wondering if we're going to have the art or not. He's supposed to be mailing it to me now, so we'll have it for the campaign as a reward tier. And like I said, we'll also have Zach's original cover art for the book as well as a reward tier. So if you're an original art collector or at least a comic cover collector, that's definitely something to check out if you're so inclined. Let's put this back up. Take down. Allow. So yeah, on our website, we have a landing page, cosmictimes.net/takedown, where you can actually preview the Kickstarter. Everything's up here except for the Phil Hester cover. We're still working on the colors on that. And I wanted to point this out. We're going to do something different. Now that Kickstarter has the add-on feature, where if you back at a tier, then right before you finalize your backing of that tier, it gives you an option to add things onto your pledge. And so we're going to be offering pretty much all the books we recently put out, all the different covers for Decisions, the 4 issues of Deep Space Tragedy, and all the different covers for The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric. You can add those onto your Takedown pledge if you didn't already get those books. But one of the coolest things is Zach still has all 24 pages of original art for this book, and we're going to be offering them up at different price points within as add-on tiers. So after you make your pledge, if you're so inclined, you'll be able to select which page you want, or even if you want multiple pages of Zach's art by scrolling through. We have the preview pages on the Kickstarter, and you just go in and you'll say, give me page 15 or give me page 18 and the copy of Decisions. That's how the add-ons work. The only thing is we didn't want to show page 22, 23, and 24. That's our surprise ending. Trust me, they're awesome pages if you wanted to check those out. So that's something different we're trying with this Kickstarter. I'm always trying to do something different.
I think the book is also pretty different. Like you were saying, those kind of depth of field effects on it is something we haven't done in any book before. Like Good, Bad, and the Prehistoric, we were trying a thing where you're coloring the lines to make it almost like Disney animation and give it kind of that vibe. And this one, there's a lot of things with depth where there's so much going on in the panels that the backgrounds, especially in color, to kind of understand the image, that the things in the foreground really need to pop ahead so that you can kind of separate them from what's behind. You'll see, whole armies of troops and stuff like that flooding into a building, or a whole bunch of people, kind of like that cover, swarming a character, and you need to, as an artist, kind of help the reader separate what the important part of that picture is and what's kind of details for you to look at if you want to, so they can keep track of the story and not get lost in all the world stuff, like you said, that's going on in the background.
Yeah, I agree. And it gives it and I hate to use this term because some comic people poo-poo it, but it gives it a cinematic feel in that, there's a motion blur here. There's if you took a frame out of a movie, what it would look like. You
have that image right there with the spaceship. So the moon is in the top right, and there's about 10 ships to the left, and there's that kind of mothership on the far left that's kind of articulated at different joints like an insect. And then we have the Earth in the background, and there's stars behind that. And so it's really a pretty epic scale for a single issue comic. And every panel is kind of packed full of that kind of detail.
I think that's great. Again, something we've recently talked about with The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric was, as we're finalizing, hopefully, issue 2, is the show don't tell aspect of it. And I think Takedown is a nice blend of dialogue and that kind of show don't tell. A lot of the action is just action. It's straight up. There's none of that. Not a lot of that. I guess characters just kind of talking over the action. The action is action in the book.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the world is kind of hinted at, and we kind of had to come up with iconography for the different sides to. Like I said, for clarity's sake, there's usually these big crowd scenes, and you don't know if they are kind of for the kind of police force that the main character is, or the opposite side. And so we had to come up with like kind of flags or icons to keep track of who's on what side, and which force is blowing up who, and that kind of stuff. So that's like consistent from beginning to end, and you should be able to keep track of kind of also in color, kind of the themes and style of each side, almost like a costume designer for a movie or something.
Oh, sure. And then you can see it just in and here with the blue versus the purple and whatnot. There's a similar color theme, but there's a definite difference, in that this is obviously the good guy and the bad guy's purple, and I just noticed in this arm is slightly not heavily out of focus, but slightly out of focus, forcing your eye to watch this guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think the panel before, the panel after reverses that. So it's kind of like that movie vibe where one thing slides forward and the other one pushes back.
Little rack focus.
You know what you're looking at. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Like I said, the book, when I saw the pages colored, I was like, wow, these really pop. More so than they did, like you said, in black and white.
Yeah, and in some places that's good, and other places it almost made it more confusing. So Victor with the colors, that I think the very first splash pages has so much going on. And he really did a great job of using kind of the light from the ships to kind of push some of the things back and pull the things in the foreground forward.
Let's see if I can find that.
I was a little worried about that one going into it. I was like, oh man, this looks like a swarm of ants attacking.
And this which page? This was the spaceship page?
Yeah, the very first page. And so I think when I got the flats back, I was like, ooh, this looks like because all the ships are colored very similar. so they could all blend into one kind of object for your eye. But then we started doing the tones over them. You could really pull some forward and backwards, and that blur ended up helping even further.
This guy here?
Yeah, so that one main ship with kind of the tusk type shape really pops out in the one on the bottom left, and the rest kind of fade back into the kind of blue-green turquoise, almost like space light, like all of the ship's thrusters are kind of lighting up the whole area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and this, let me ask you this: whose idea was it to kind of give it this almost crustacean look? The spaceships.
That was kind of the need of the, like I said, for the clarity of the story, that we needed kind of a style to stick with one. Like I was thinking about the special features on Lord of the Rings, and they talk about how just looking at the buildings, you can tell like the dwarves apart from the elves, apart from everybody else, because the architecture styles are completely different, and just the kind of basic shapes. So yeah, he's definitely has kind of an animal insect vibe for this one, and his helmet that's on the Kickstarter page has like these big ram's horns plus kind of tusk type things, and so we went with a big kind of animal vibe for all the alien type things, and then a very like brutalist kind of concrete, emotionless vibe with the police force, and almost like Soviet Russia kind of these big long banners and things.
I know that I believe during when you were talking about the colorings, that was something that was considered the whole Soviet Russian, the not quite apocalyptic or not quite, it's just kind of post-industrialist, I guess, would be kind of the look we're going for.
Yeah, almost like RoboCop and a couple of the other films, just really hard angles, and it's kind of not, it's almost not aesthetically pleasing. It's just for utilitarian, basically. So it's for a purpose. We built it. Move on. Who cares what it looks like?
It just functions. Yes.
They're there to do a job, and that's all that matters. First. So.
It's old Detroit. Speaking, just on a tangent, I was flipping through. I guess there's an app called Pluto on. It's like almost like television. The way it works is that you can just catch streams of TV shows, and I caught the last like 10, 15 minutes of RoboCop. My God, that is a great movie. I really.
You're talking about that, yeah.
I got sucked into it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that I guess later in his career he went off the rails, but that one, man, the whole where the old man goes, "Dick, you're fired." I thought, what a great way to wrap that scene up. It's just a great movie. I think I'm gonna have to rewatch it again. I do remember not being a huge fan of RoboCop 2 though. The Frank Miller RoboCop.
Was it 2 or 3 is the Frank Miller one? Yeah, but
two is the Frank Miller one.
Went back and redid it with his original script in the comic books. And
I've not gotten. Is it good?
Apparently, they changed something.
Well, it was a little.
Simon said did the art on it.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. RoboCop 2 was a movie I really wanted to like, and I told myself I liked it, but I just don't think I do. RoboCop 3, I actually one of the few films I walked out of the theater on was RoboCop 3. Where they replaced Peter Weller with, I don't know who that guy was, but it wasn't Peter Weller. That's not Peter Weller, we'll call him. Yeah.
Yeah, that first one, I think that was my first taste of, I don't know. There's kind of an argument that I fell into with one of his other movies, Starship Troopers, and some people saying that you can't make kind of anti-war movies that are war movies. Basically, his idea is to do everything to 11 so that it becomes kind of farce, and you're kind of criticizing the thing that you're putting out there because it's so clearly over the top. But then the people that are kind of into that, it's just like the best thing ever. It's like Team America, and they're just like gung ho for it. But to him, It was very clearly kind of, this is bad. You can see that this is, over the top, right?
Well, I think RoboCop went there, but Starship Troopers really went there. It went way into that kind of realistic farce, I guess you would call it. I'll tell you what, when I first saw Starship Troopers, I was a little confused. Like, what is the tone of this movie? I don't get it. Who are we rooting for here? But then obviously as I got older, I kind of understood it a little better.
I mean, I think that's one of the harder things to do, almost like the DC thing with trying to get your old fans and your new fans is you are making a war movie and you have to hit all the beats, but you're also kind of doing it satirically the whole time, so you're undermining everything you're building,
right?
And so it's almost like Shrek or something, where it is everything you expect and it also undercuts everything you expect simultaneously. So it's you're doing two things at once, much more complicated.
Oh yeah. Anyways, there's that. Yeah, this Pluto app. Do you ever mess with this thing?
Only to stream stuff. I think other than people that are just like they have that button on Netflix now that's just like play something. They're just kind of decision anxiety.
It was kind of a weird because I cut my cable 11, 12 years ago now. So I haven't the idea of just watching whatever's on hasn't been in my house since my daughters can remember. So it was almost a nice nostalgic feeling to flip through channels on this Pluto thing and like watch the last 15 minutes of RoboCop and the last half an hour of an episode of Star Trek. It was almost like I said, that nostalgia feeling of, oh, this is how TV used to be. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a bad thing though. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit.
TV episodes are an interesting thing versus like movies, because like my son being able to watch years, like he just got into Ben 10 really hard and binged like 6 or 7 seasons of that show in like a couple months. And to think that took place over the course of like, his lifetime to make, and then he's able to do it in like a couple months and be done with the whole thing it's really wild to think that you would have to wait for a certain time of day, one episode, you maybe caught half of it because something happened and then you didn't see that episode again, or it'd be totally out of order or something.
Sure. Oh yeah.
You could watch everything in order one after another for months at a time and then just be finished and on to the next thing.
There was one of those, Facebook posts, hey, name a show you've seen every episode on. And I've listed like 20. And somebody said, well, what about Star Trek The Next Generation? Like, I think I actually missed a few episodes in the final season. I really wasn't watching it as religiously as I had been. And it's that concept, I guess, is lost to this new generation, because why wouldn't you just watch them all? But I will say this, we watched the TV show 24 on DVD. This is how long ago, or maybe Blu-ray, I don't remember. And that show is not meant to be watched back to back. Because like this guy's day, I would just eat a bullet at the end of the day for what this guy, his wife got kidnapped twice and killed all in the same day. There's just this concept of you kind of need that break, I think, between the episodes just to take a minute to absorb it. And I think that's I don't know, I kind of like the delayed gratification. Maybe it's because I'm an old generation.
I was going to ask about that with Disney. They seem to be trying to kind of champion that so that they can get people to come up with conspiracy theories and almost kind of baiting them into that too with certain plot things, like all the X-Men type things with WandaVision and stuff, that they're trying to kind of fuel that. And then that kind of builds interest in the show and a community around it that you wouldn't have if you just blasted through it and were done.
That's true, and it definitely keeps a lot of YouTubers in business, because after my daughter and I watched the Bad Batch and whatever the current Marvel show is, so it's Loki now, and after we finished watching it, we end up watching 4 or 5 YouTube videos on these things, and if it wasn't for these shows, these channels would have nothing to talk about.
Sure.
So. Oh man, that's coming together great, dude. Oh my gosh. I like his eye. The dancer was like, what?
Yeah, the weird thing, as far as kind of the, I don't know, I guess the audience that they're trying to get is that delayed kind of thing that streaming seems to kind of go against. Is almost training a patience in your audience that they seem to want to subvert when they're trying to get you to, pay for something on Disney Plus like this month that you're going to be able to see next month for free. And with the TV shows, you have to wait. And so it's, I don't know, it's kind of, they're not like committing to impatient audience and, almost like those clickbait kind of games that you can wait, an hour and this thing will happen, or you can pay $1 right now and have it done. It kind of prey on your impatience. And so the TV show aspect seems to want you to wait, and that kind of helps them as far as marketing. But on the movie aspect, they want you to be impatient and pay for it immediately.
They want your $20 for Mulan, whatever that
and
is.
So it's kind of, they're doing both, and it's interesting because I feel like I've firmly switched over to the camp of just, I'll get it when it's easiest for me, and I don't have to see it like today.
Okay.
So it's interesting that they're kind of assuming that their audience is both, I guess.
Or they're just trying, just like with the nostalgia versus the new stuff, we're going to appeal to everybody, whatever we have to do to,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess people are welcome to wait if they want to wait, but it seems like they're hoping monetarily that you're going to be impatient and want to do it right today.
But now that we looked at comics, and that's still, since the beginning of the industry, that is the business model, is that you have to wait next month to find out what happens to Spider-Man, or is Batman going to marry Catwoman? Find out next week. That's a whole that whole thing is still drives the comic business. So I guess that appeals to the that have to have that anticipation to keep it going.
I mean, obviously those channels that you're mentioning literally do, or some of them have advanced screeners or something like that of certain films so that they can get the review out by the time the general public are actually watching it.
Let me switch gears for a second. So you brought up reviews, and it was something I was thinking about in the shower this morning. I wanted to talk to you about. I get a lot of people these days talking about, hey, submit your comic for review, or where should I submit my comic for review? And it's a weird vibe. I haven't actually embraced the reviews in the last few years, because it seems there's two camps. There's only two types of reviews for anything anymore. Either it's they're going to roast it, or they're going to tell you it's the greatest thing ever. There's very little seems to be critical response with comic book reviews anymore. Have you noticed this?
I mean, I think that's kind of what you would want, isn't it? Like, as an artist, you would probably be bummed out if your response, or if the review was meh, like, take it or leave it, but who cares? It's not important. Kind of like the Paul Verhoeven movies, like, you want some people trying to ban it possibly, and the other people championing it and wearing t-shirts of it. It kind of engenders a sense of passion about it. But I feel like the worst review you could get is, it's just kind of, who cares? Like, your life will go on the same tomorrow, and you don't need to run out and buy this, and you also don't need to avoid it.
Well, but I think it's a certain disingenuous reviews, these positive reviews, because I've read comics that clearly are not good. I mean, not even like, it's not even for debate that it's good or not. And there's websites and reviewers screaming how it's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, there's no world anybody can look at that objectively and say it's the greatest thing ever. There's plot holes. There's bad writing. The art.
Well, there's also influencer kind of culture right now, and a lot of that runs off of, if you pay me this much money, I'll push your product. And it has, like, it's almost like a vlog or something, where it's this edited reality. Is you're selling a sense of authenticity, but behind the scenes it's actually very catered and canned. And so what people are expecting versus how you're getting there are completely different roads. But you can't really let them know that, or it blows the whole lid off the whole thing.
Well, that's for the big deal. I think with the indie comic, our particular scene, you have these reviewers who want to be best friends with everybody. And instead of going, hey, this book kind of sucks, they're going to tell you it's great. Or I guess I'm just looking for some kind of critical response. Like, give me a B or a C. It's either an A or an F. That's all they seem to be doling out these days. And the F is for something they hate. And the A is just across the board for anybody they want to be friendly with, at least for the indie comic scene. And it almost makes me not want to get reviews anymore.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know many comic reviewers, but as far as comic book readers, I think it's kind of been fairly largely known that a lot of readers are kind of creators, or want to be to some level. And so it may be kind of the fact that the industry is kind of insular that way, and it kind of can be a who you know business, I guess. Like one of my late professors at SCAD, Tom Lyle, was saying that he kind of burned a bridge really hard with the guy that ended up running Wizard before it was Wizard magazine, and was pretty rude to him. And then, that magazine obviously went on to blow up and pretty much tried to kind of blacklist him because of how he had treated him. So yeah, I don't know. It's different than I think things like movies or book reviews.
Yeah, go back to what you said there a second ago about seems everybody wants to be in comics. That was a harsh realization at New York, I think in 2015, 2016, when I realized everybody that was buying my book was also pitching me a book. Mm-hmm. So it's like, where are the fans? Where are the people who just want to buy and read comics that don't want to make comics? It's a strange business. And that imagine if everybody who watched a movie wanted to make movies, it would be.
Well, I think if anybody who has a critical response to something is basically saying, I know how to make this better, or I'm able to appreciate what's good about it. And once you get to that level, then there's not such a big step into, well, why don't I just do the thing that I thought would have been better than this? I think a lot of comic books or movies or TV shows are built out of, I liked what they started here, but they didn't really execute it so well. And I know how it could be better if they do X, Y, and Z. So I'll just,
Sure.
call it this and do that.
And the barrier to entry in comics is a lot easier than, say, movies. You can, with $10,000 and some artist friends, you can make a comic.
Yeah.
As opposed to $8 million to make a low budget movie these days.
I think there's less people involved, and the division of labor is quite a shorter chain.
Yeah, that's the way the business is the business. That's looking great, man. That is looking fabulous.
Adding that drop shadow, you can see the depth of his neck as it goes over.
Right. Now, how much of our dinosaurs, I know we talked about this in the early stages, are influenced from Jurassic Park or influenced from science?
I don't know if I want to get into that with you. I think I fought pretty hard in the beginning to give the dinosaurs feathers, and you were saying, well, clearly this is a fantasy version of it, so it should be more like, kind of King Kong versus T-Rex. This is like not realistic dinosaurs. This is fantasy dinosaurs, and I was.
Well, I've noticed since then, no movies have embraced the feathered dinosaur thing. So it's.
I appreciate Jurassic Park for what it did. I think before that we had T-Rex dragging his tail around and kind of standing up like a person. So there was a lot of science that Jurassic Park helped popularize and kind of move forward. On the other hand, there's a lot of inaccuracies and things that they changed for the film that now people kind of, or at least the kids that I'm around, kind of embrace this fact and will argue to the death, that, Dilophosaurus could definitely spit, and Velociraptor is the size of a person, and it's not Deinonychus and all this kind of stuff. And so I think it goes kind of both ways. But yeah, I'm firmly in the feather camp, but I think I got overruled on that one.
Oh, it's just like, they won't look like dinosaurs if they're like birds if they're all feathered up. There should be the good, the bad, and the aviaries. It's
well, are we appealing to the nostalgia fans of dinosaurs, or are we trying to get a new audience?
We're appealing to that Land of the Lost fans. That's what we're going to do. Get some slee stacks in there. No, I think we have a good book. I really think Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric came out greater than the sum of its parts. I think the first book came out really well. I've read it a couple times, and I usually never read my own books. I enjoy it. I enjoy the book, and I think everybody who's gotten a hold of it has had nothing but good things to say about it. Of course, that goes back to no one's going to say anything bad about anything. But
but I also think we take that pretty seriously. I think we've had a pretty heated debate over the last couple of months trying to make sure that the quality of the second issue measures up to the first one, and not taking it lightly to just pump it out. And I think that speaks to our responsibility to the quality of the issues, and we don't want to just put anything out there. We want to make sure it's the best it can be.
Sure.
And so while it's frustrating, I think we get better books out of it.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, we went back and forth for a while on the first issue. It was just trying to find the right pace. I think was the to keep the story kind of moving along was a challenge in the beginning. Again, I think that Lone Ranger movie helped with pace because that movie's insane.
I mean, I think we have a kind of a shared reference catalog, I guess, as far as movies that we've seen in kind of a similar target that we're aiming at, as far as what we enjoy in entertainment and things. And so I think that helps us get towards the same endpoint, I guess. Whereas, like you said, as far as reviews, if somebody's idea of what's good is drastically different than yours, or what the concept of the book is drastically different, then creative differences can kind of get in the way and change things.
Fair. But I think we put, like I said, we put our best foot forward with this first issue, and hopefully the second issue. The second issue is it actually feels a little more important than the first or the third issue. It's kind of that Empire Strikes Back effect, in that this is, because the third issue is kind of just racing toward the climax, but that second issue has to give the story the last bit of meat before we move forward to the finale. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the challenge with the first issue was being able to, like you said, kind of keep the train moving, but also tell a story, not slow it down too much. So I think the pacing was a big worry with the first one. You don't want to just dump everything about the world, and you kind of need to dole it out piece by piece. And I think the second one is kind of setting up those pieces for the series in a whole. It's kind of the glue that is going to pull the whole story together when you get finished with it. Mm-hmm. You couldn't go from 1 to 3 and have 3 mean anything without 2.
Right. Yeah, it would still be fun. Hey, exciting dinosaurs, but the meat lies in that second issue, and that's where you and I are trying to finally get that hammered out. I think you came on to the right thing. I do have a question. I don't want to spoil the book, but a lot of what we've talked about over the years, stories. Were you raised in a mine?
Oh, what else was a mine that we've done before?
Nugget.
Oh, okay. No, I think I find them kind of mysterious places, and
and for the Old West, it definitely works. Yeah. Oh, White Fang. Yeah. For the Old West, it definitely works, though. It kind of has that kind of I don't know. Old. I mean, I think of Apple Dumpling Gang with the mind, and that's that goes back to the wheelhouse that I think we were trying to work in when we came up with The Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric. That kind of 70s Disney vibe. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with Cosmic Times. I've been thinking about it. I think we've talked about this before, maybe on the last live stream. I've been going back and looking at Disney in the late 70s, early 80s, the without Walt years, after Walt had died and before Michael Eisner took over and made it more of a business. There definitely was a sense of these guys just trying to come up with crazy, different ideas that were still within the same vein of what Disney represented at that time. And I think that's kind of where we are right now with Cosmic Times, and that trying to come up with ideas that are different, a little out of the box, but still kind of all fit within the same kind of branded wheelhouse that we've been putting forward for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, also trying, like we were talking about in the art, to try and make sure that each book can kind of push some new boundaries and grow in ways that we haven't had before. So that kind of like a lot of the kind of the Marvel shows seem to almost be a different genre inside of superhero movies. Try and make sure that each of them differentiates themselves enough to justify, their existence, so that the whole thing can kind of grow. And as a company, they all stand together as, individually special, but also a brand.
That's definitely true. The 3 Marvel. I mean, I would say Winter Soldier was closest to a Marvel Cinematic movie, but in style. But they've all had a different style, and like I say, even almost like a different color scheme. They all kind of color temperature. They all kind of have their own vibe, and that kind of fits the analogy I was going for. All right, man, we're actually creeping up on an hour. I think we're going to do this for 45. So let's take one last look at that sweet cover there. Nice. Look at that. Wish I could make it bigger, but I can't. Look at that. Looks so good.
Yeah, so I'll get that finished up and sent out this weekend.
Sounds good. And the other one, you'll be able to hammer that one out too, or?
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think Ryan's getting his done this weekend as well. So it's all working out. By the way, did you see Ryan got a Transformers cover?
I did. I couldn't believe it.
How cool is that?
I was very happy for him because he's so like focused in on Transformers that as long as I've known him, which is
especially the Beast
about
Wars.
10 years now.
Yeah,
that is his thing, and so it was like Christmas to hear that he'd finally gotten it, because there's kind of nothing in the middle. It's like Transformers or nothing for him, and he got it. So
he must feel great about himself.
Dinosaurs is coming up on a close second though, and that's what this book was for him. We got that awesome. So.
How cool is that? That looks so good. Yeah. A guy who bought that original art lives around the corner from me, and I was like, if I mail this and something gets screwed up, I'll feel horrible. So I actually hand delivered it. I finally worked out where I could go to his house and hand delivered it to him yesterday, actually. So yeah. So all right, man, we'll wrap this up. Thanks so much for doing this, Zach. And again, your art is always incredible. And check out Takedown; it's coming soon. Look at that. So you can get a sketch cover like that in our new Kickstarter Takedown that's going to be launching in a couple weeks. We'll make an announcement about the launch date soon. You can check out the Indiegogo and grab one of those. Look how beautiful that is. And with Zach's face, we should get a still of that. That should be how we promote it. I think actually I have a similar still I used for this video. But all right, man. Thank you so much. We're going to end the broadcast now in 3, 2, 1. That didn't work.